Приветики, конфетики, здравствуйте! Вы слушаете подкаст, Дима, что происходит? На всякий случай напомню вам о том, что это подкаст делает редакция 66.ru. Делает она его раз в неделю, и здесь мы разговариваем о событиях, людях и явлениях, которые нам показались очень интересными, но могли задеяться в повестке новостей. Приветики, конфетики, приветики, конфетики, приветики, конфетики.
Приветики-конфетики! Как вы уже могли понять по необычному джинглу этого выпуска, который для нас написал наш монтажер Алексей Школа вместе с нейросетями, сегодня у нас спецвыпуск. Мы решили поэкспериментировать. Да, мы здесь это очень любим делать. И сегодня вы услышите разговор с джазменом Фрэнком МакКомбом. Мы с ним встретились в клубе «Джаз», очень замечательно пообщались. И тут есть один нюанс. Дело в том, что Фрэнк приехал к нам из Соединенных Штатов. Мы очень долго думали, как адаптировать для вас в удобный формат этот разговор, потому что мы понимаем, что никто не обязан здесь знать английский язык, и решили сделать так. Вы услышите интервью, наш разговор, на английском целиком. Но перед каждым кусочком, да, смысловым, мы записали вставки на русском, да, которые коротко пересказывают содержимое нашего разговора. Мы не знаем, как вам это зайдет, очень хочется узнать, поэтому сегодня мы прямо вот в начале выпуска призываем вас обязательно писать нам и сообщать, как вам такие эксперименты, потому что, мы хотим пробовать новое, но это все бессмысленно, если вам это потом не заходит. Но надеемся, что вам будет достаточно удобно, что вы все поймете. Возможно, для вас это станет мотивацией зайти в приложение с зеленой совой и сделать пару уроков на аудирование. В общем, мы хотим, чтобы вы сегодня просто расслабились, потому что последний месяц был непростым. Как всегда, нас окружали всякие страшные новости. Поэтому сегодня мы хотим просто, чтобы вы погрузились, знаете, в атмосферу такого джаз-клуба. Вот представьте, вы пришли в джаз-клуб и просто подслушали разговор музыканта с кем-то из его знакомых. О жизни, о творчестве немного, что-то про город, совсем несколько слов. И вот просто вы стали свидетелем такой беседы. Надеемся, что вам будет это интересно, понятно, и вы не отпишитесь от нас. Ну а если серьезно, просто послушайте и получите удовольствие. Спасибо. Вначале мы поговорили о том, как Фрэнку Екатеринбург и как он добрался. Не спешите, пожалуйста, кидаться в меня помидорами. Это просто такой способ расслабить спикера, чтобы начать с ним беседу. Ну и вообще он рассказывает, что ему город по вайбу понравился. Не то чтобы это неожиданный контент, да, не то, что мы ожидали, что он вдруг скажет, что ему Екатеринбург не нравится, когда он находится прямо здесь и сейчас. Но он рассказал, что ему очень нравятся здания, особенно его впечатлили храм на Крови и храм на Вознесенской горке. Он говорит, что такого в LA он, конечно, не видел.
So, unfortunately, we don't have much time, and as I have already said, it's a really honor to meet you here in Ekaterinburg. So, how was your flight here?
Travel was fine. We're actually doing well with the travel. No drama.
Did you know anything about Ekaterinburg before you came here? So, because our city is not the capital, it's not Moscow, it's not St. Petersburg, and it's not so obvious on the map.
Well, I will tell you, I love the vibe of the city from what I've experienced. I've never been here before, but the vibe of the city is really nice. I like that big blue church right outside of it. I love buildings. So to see that just blew me away. And then the other one that's like a little far off, there's two churches really near. Just breathtaking. I love buildings. I love odd buildings, weird shaped buildings, monuments, landmarks. I'm just that kind of guy. So to see all of the different churches and the different looks that they all have, it's breathtaking. We don't have that in Los Angeles.
Yes, I think so.
We don't have that in Los Angeles.
Вообще, жизнь Фрэнка тесно связана с церковью. Когда он был ребенком, его мама, тетя и бабушка пели в родной церкви. Поэтому он тоже захотел заниматься музыкой. Как-то насмотревшись и наслушавшись на них, он решил, что хочет научиться играть на фортепиано. И его тетя взялась его учить. Она ему дала 3 часовых урока. Они встречались по воскресеньям. И сам Фрэнк рассказывает, что за это время она обучила его всей базе. А дальше он пошел развиваться в музыке. Во время учебы в школе он выступал со своим трио, а затем его позвали для R&B группы The Root Boys для лейбла Atlantic Records. После у него был контракт с лейблом Motown. Это один из крупнейших лейблов. И тогда же он переехал из Кливленда в Лос-Анджелес. Там он записал 2 альбома для лейбла, но их не издали. Еще он записал 2 трека к фильму 1993 года «Человек-метеор». И после этого разорвал контракт с лейблом. Затем он попал на лейбл Columbia. Представляете? То есть это, наверное, один из самых известнейших лейблов музыкальных в мире. Летом 1999 года он приступил к записи своего дебютного альбома Love Stories. Его выпустили 14 марта 2000 года. Но из Columbia он продержался не так уж долго. И уже в 2002 году он ушел на независимый лейбл Malibu Sessions. Фрэнк говорит, что главная проблема работы с крупными компаниями, с крупными лейблами в том, что у них много исполнителей, и у руководства уделяет больше внимания и, соответственно, денег тем, кто больше хайпует. Поэтому в какой-то момент своей карьеры он решил стать полностью независимым.
But still, I suppose that your life connects with churches a lot because you have started in a church your career, yes? And I would like to speak about how it is being a self-made artist. I know that you do everything by yourself, so you have no people to help you. It must be really difficult.
Well, can I be honest?
Of course.
It was more difficult when I was in the system, quote unquote, being signed to the record label, 2 record labels, two mainstream record labels and 1 independent label. It was more difficult dealing with the labels only because there was so many people involved to make decisions. I began feeling the success of the music business when I went independent. For me, I didn't enjoy being signed to a record label who did nothing for me. And I'm not the only one at the label. You have all these other artists, too, that they give attention to. And whoever's selling the most records and bringing in the most money is who gets the most attention. Yeah. But, for example, being at Motown Records, you never get a record out, you never get any attention. So it just so happened that I'm signed to a major, and I'll keep it straight up street with you because it was my personal experience. And I look at things from the eyes of the fans. I was signed to a major black label, Motown, a major white label, Columbia, and an independent label where I was the only one on the roster in their case, but they didn't know what they were doing. So I have 3 different experiences with 3 different types of companies, and all of them were negative experiences. With Motown, never got a record out. Columbia put out a great album, but wouldn't push it. And both were political reasons. For Motown, they were bought out by a bigger company, and the little guys like me were forgotten about. It was all about the superstars they looked out for at the time. At Columbia, there were issues within the R&B department and the jazz department. I did a 2-hour showcase for Columbia for the R&B department, and they promised to sign me, but they ended up passing on me to sign someone else. Whoa. And I believe that person they signed was Alicia Keys, and they never did anything with her. Obviously, if Clive Davis took her over to Jay, but I believe it was Alicia. So with there being an issue, a political issue between Columbia Jazz and Columbia's R&B department, it really disappointed Branford. Branford Marsalis is the reason I was signed to Columbia.
Здесь нужно сделать маленькую ремарку. Саксофонист Брэнфорд Марсалис – очень знаковая фигура в жизни не только Фрэнка, но и джаза в целом. За альбом 92 года «I Heard You Twice the First Time» он получил Грэмми. А песня МакКомба под названием «Mona Lisa's and Mad Harris» позволила Фрэнку вступить в бэнд Марсалиса «Buckshot Lefon». В составе этой группы МакКомб записывался и гастролировал по всему миру. 2 альбома получили поддержку от критиков, и это стало импульсом к заключению контракта с Columbia. Собственно, и альбом Love Stories МакКомб и Марсалис записывали вместе. Альбом стал результатом серьезной работы и остается фаворитом фанатов, но его продажи пострадали из-за отсутствия поддержки со стороны лейбла. И да, конечно, вся эта история с Колумбией закончилась достаточно печально в том плане, что контракт все-таки разорвали, и что Фрэнк ушел с лейбла. Но Фрэнк считает, что это не такой уж плохой экспириенс для него, потому что далеко не каждый музыкант может похвастаться тем, что его дебютный, на минуточку, альбом вышел на одном из главных лейблов мира.
So I performed a 2-hour showcase for them. They passed on me. And Branford says to me, I heard what happened. Just hold out. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got 2 young kids and a wife. I got to take care of family. He said, I'm going to get you signed to Columbia's jazz department. Just watch. I'll make it happen. Well, sure enough, he made it happen. He got me signed to Columbia. But within the issues within the company, they put the record out, but they wouldn't support it. So, but at least I can say I got a great record out. My first album, my debut album, was released on a major record label such as Columbia Records. Not everyone can say their first album was on a major label, and I was given creative control for my first album. That is a great accomplishment within itself, just to say that I had full creative control and I was one of the producers of my first record. And to say it was produced by Branford Marsalis and Frэнk МакКомб, big wins for me. Big wins. That's a great win for me for a first album. Man, most people don't get that for their first album. So I have to thank Branford publicly for giving me that opportunity to have that under my belt. So if I don't say anything else about Columbia Records, I at least walked away with that. So that's good to have it. That's like a platinum credit card. It is.
Но все-таки Фрэнк говорит, что из этой истории с лейблами он подчерпнул важный урок. Если не складываются отношения с руководством лейбла, если твоя музыка не получает от него поддержки, то и оставаться на таком лейбле, нет смысла. Собственно, поэтому он ушел из Колумбии и стал работать с независимым лейблом, где выпустил альбом The Truth. Он занимался продвижением альбома, все было хорошо, но если бы не одно «но». Продюсер из Motown, помните, вот тот первый лейбл, куда пришел Фрэнк, который не дал выйти его альбомом в 90-е, начал продавать его музыку на черном рынке, причем в обход МакКомба.
But I learned that if you don't have favor with the president of a record label, don't stay, because you don't have favor with the label. He runs the label, right?
Yeah.
So I decided if you're not, and blatantly tell me that you're not going to push my album, why am I staying at the label? That means I'll never get a second one out unless you leave and another president come in. And I didn't want to waste time, because I say all the time, money is something we make over and over again. Time is something we're never getting back. So I didn't want to waste time chasing record labels to become a star. Stars fall. I like a career. I love a career with longevity. Stars fall. But when I realized there was no support at Motown, no support at Columbia, I was approached by the gentleman who produced my album for Motown in 1995 it was never released. So he approaches me and he says, Frank, let's put out a record. Let's put out a harder hitting record, a little something a little different from Love Stories. Mm-hmm. And I say, okay, let's do it. So we recorded an album called The Truth. And now mind you, this is 2003 now. And while I'm promoting the album, The Truth, this guy is bootlegging, selling the record that I recorded for Motown on the black market behind my back for, back then, 25 pounds. He was selling it in the UK for 25 pounds, which was at the time $50 US. And I wasn't seeing any of it. He was stealing from me while we were pushing the actual record, the legitimate record. So I found out about it. And I was on the road doing some dates to promote the new album. And my friend Cy Smith was singing background for me.
Певица Сай Смит стала Фрэнку настоящим другом, и она помогла ему в этой непростой ситуации. Она помогла ему сделать, внимание, его первый адрес электронной почты. Вот такие раньше были времена, представляете, молодежь? И, в общем, Фрэнк решил, что раз кто-то может украсть его музыку, почему бы ему самому не украсть у себя? И поэтому начал сам публиковать свои записи, которые раньше не выходили.
And Cy watched it all happen. She saw that she was there when I found out that this was happening to me. And I have to credit Cy Smith. Cy Smith was the one who taught me how to create my first email address. Yeah, she's played here, huh? Cy Smith taught me how to create my first email address, because that's when emails were just hitting the scene, eBay was just coming on board, the whole nine way back then. So it was then that I decided, if a guy can take my music and sell it behind my back and get away with it, if he can steal from me, then I can steal from myself. So I went home.
That's the point, yeah.
I went home after that tour, and I took 12 songs out of my recording studio, because I was always recording. I mean, I've got so much music right now in 2024 that I still have yet to record. Just sitting on a bunch of cassettes in a big crate about yay tall. It's really big. So I took 12 songs out of that vault, and I put them on a CDR. It was green on the back. It wasn't silver. I was burning them just like he was. He was burning my music and selling it and sending it overseas. So I just copied his hustle.
Абсурд ситуации в том, что фанаты в этой ситуации разозлились не на кого-то, не на человека, который в обход МакКомба продавал его музыку, а на самого Фрэнка. На одной радиостанции кто-то подумал, что некто под именем Фрэнка пытается украсть его музыку, и поэтому музыканту приходилось долго доказывать, что нет, это он сам, что вот, пожалуйста, я собственник этой музыки, берите ее, делайте с ней что-нибудь. Но он стал рассказывать свою историю, люди начали узнавать об этом, они стали понимать, что это не просто его хобби, что музыка — это дело его жизни, и их отношение все-таки начало меняться. Он начал продавать альбомы, прямо продавал их со своими автографами, и 2 радиостанции в Америке ставили его в эфир.
Believe it or not, fans got mad at me for doing it for myself.
It's incredible.
But it was okay for other people to do it and buy it from someone else. Go figure. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is it a problem when the artist stands up for himself? You know, but it's okay for a thief to do it. It's all right. You feel better taking it from the thief than from the artist. Come on, right? So, come on. So, but it wasn't enough to stop me. And I began telling my story. Once I started telling my story, that's when my independent legacy started. Because then people started realizing you're taking money from this artist. This is how he lives. This is not his hobby. This is his career. So once I told my story, and I wasn't afraid to tell my story, because think about it. Once you've lost it all, where else is there to go? There's no place else to go once you've lost it all. And you begin to lose all fear. You become, fearless, So I began burning copies of my music on Straight from the Vault, and I wrote on the CD, Frэнk МакКомб, Straight from the Vault. And I began selling it directly to the people and explaining to them, this is my music and this is the best way I can get it to you without interference from a company or thieves. You're getting it directly from me, and you're getting my hand signature on it. What better product? Can you imagine Stevie Wonder writing his signature, which he does have a signature, and he'll put his signature on a CD with his music and sell it to you? You're getting it directly from the source. What greater place? And you're supporting that source, So finally, people caught on. I sent it to some radio station friends, and they thought that I was bootlegging, like someone else was bootlegging my music. And I'm like, no, it's me. It's me. Because I put it in the mail, old school. It's me. Radio stations wouldn't play. I had 2 radio stations in America that would play my music. Of all the radio stations in America, only 2 would play it. WHUR in Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and WCLK in Atlanta, Georgia were the only 2 stations. And the internet wasn't popping then at the time. The internet was just getting started. And then finally Napster came in. When it did get started, Napster came in and just messed everything up. So...
И вот сейчас, спустя годы, Фрэнк сам записывает, мастерит, миксует и дистрибутирует свою музыку. Дистрибуирует, в общем, поставляет ее. Это позволяет ему самостоятельно управлять всеми процессами. И именно это желание контролировать все самостоятельно привело его к независимости. И это дало свои плоды. Уже в начале нулевых его альбом Straight from the Vault получил звание лучшего альбома года по мнению читателей Soul Tracks.
But the great thing is that over the years, I record my own music, I mix it, master it, edit it, directly put it out to the people. I own all of my masters. And I've got a lot of music out. I own every master. And so I can manipulate my music however I wish and sell it to the public however I wish. Just like a record company would do a best of album, that's what I do for myself. I think with the mindset of a record label, and I do it for myself. And that's what actually led to my independent, I would call it my independent success, because it started in 2004. We're in 2024, and I'm sitting here doing a great interview with you.
Thank you.
I'm still here.
So
20 years
great.
later.
It's a great story for indie musicians, I think, so for them
and
to
you know
understand.
What? I'll add something else to it. First off, Straight from the Vault turns 20 years old this year. And that's the record that got me my first award. I did everything on that album. All the mixing, all the recording, all the instruments. I programmed everything myself on that record. And that record, my 3rd album, but the first one I did on my own, got me my first award, Best Album of the Year, for SoulTracks.com in 2004. The Reader's Choice Awards, and that's very prestigious because Soul Tracks is pretty big, and they were just starting out. I'm the first to get that award, Best Album of the Year, for Soul Tracks. I'm the very first one to get that award, and it was for Straight from the Vault.
А спустя 19 лет с момента выхода альбома Straight from the World к Фрэнку обратился стриминговый сервис Peacock, это что-то типа Netflix, чтобы использовать его трек White Line in the Sky как саундтрек к фильму If You Were the Last. На русский это название перевели как «Ты просто космос».
I'll tell you something else encouraging. Straight from the Vault is 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
I released it in 2004. Well, 19 years, this is now last year, I'm approached by a movie. And this movie is called If You Were the Last for the Peacock Network, which is really big. I don't know if it's big here, but in America it's huge. Peacock Network is like another type of Netflix. And it's a Peacock movie. And they reached out to me to use a clip of the first song on that album, White Line in the Sky, made it in that movie 19 years after I released it. Timeless music. God has a sense of humor. Timeless music. And it's all my work. I don't have to go through any kind of publishing company to get permission. I don't have to get permission for licensing or none of that. They came to me and asked me for the sync license again, the whole day. They deal. We had no middleman, and it all comes to me. Everything. Even 20 years later, it's paying off.
Проделав такой длинный путь, Фрэнк учит сейчас всех только одному, что нужно учиться любой возможной работе, чтобы стать лучшим артистом, прежде всего для самого себя. И до тех пор, пока он не найдет идеальный по своим меркам лейбл, он будет оставаться независимым. Логика примерно такая же, как в поисках идеального партнера на жизнь.
So I encourage anybody out there that's having any trouble in this business, learn every job there is to know. To take for a recording artist to have a successful career, learn every job that you possibly can and do them for yourself. That's what I had to do. Wasn't easy, but to answer your question, long story short, I feel great being independent. And I always say, the analogy I always give, I'm going to stay single until I find the right one. Until I find the right record company to get married to, I'm going to stay single.
Вообще у Фрэнка особое отношение к своей карьере. Он не называет себя звездой, несмотря на все эти фильмы, альбомы, гастроли. И при этом он уверен, что он чертовски известен. Но он считает, что сегодняшние звезды сильно отличаются от тех звезд, что были раньше. То есть если раньше это были люди такие недоступные, которые поднялись благодаря своей музыке, своему таланту, а сейчас, по его мнению, звезды в основном сделаны благодаря соцсетям, скандалам и соперничеству. Поэтому он не хочет вставать в один ряд с Тейлор Свифт, Рианной и Ким Кардашьян.
You told that you prefer career, not being a star. But don't you feel like a star after all of this path? So movie, great albums, tours all over the world. So I think it looks like a star.
But you know, a lot of people use the term star, but the reason I won't use the term star is because nowadays, today, in this time, to be a star has a different type of meaning.
What do you mean by this?
What I mean by this, people say, oh, he's a star, he's a star. What are stars today? Stars today, it's not even about the music anymore.
Why?
Because they get caught up in, I believe social media has a lot to do with it. Today's technology has a lot to do with it. Fans have too much liberty to speak, and then you have recording artists that don't keep their lives as a mystery anymore. You're sharing too much with the public, which makes you just as equal as the public. It was never that way. That's what made them a star, because they were above the public. You were up higher. That's the way I see it. But now you've brought yourself down to make yourself equal as far as communication with your public. And you allow social media allows them to use, what's the amendment? Freedom of speech. Yeah. And it's not so cool. And it's not just an American thing, but it's a worldwide thing now, because I see comments even on my social media because I'm what they would call crossover, meaning that is I don't just have one type of audience. There's the people around the world know who I am. And I wouldn't say I'm famous. I would say I'm really popular. Maybe not famous, but I'm hella popular. I would say that. But the reason I don't use the term star for myself is because today the meaning of a star is different. Kim Kardashian is a star.
Yes.
Sean Puffy Combs is a star.
Mm-hmm.
All these people, these big name people are stars. Beyonce's a star. Taylor Swift is a star. But Beyonce and Taylor Swift, the people are focusing more on the rivalry than they are their music. People are focusing more on Sean Puffy Combs' issues right now that they're coming down on him for, whatever those issues are. But he's a star. He's falling. Stevie Wonder is not falling. Stevie Wonder, and I use him as an example because I became friends with Stevie. I met Stevie on my birthday when I turned 93, July 15, 1993. That's the day I met Stevie. And I grew up watching Stevie as a child. And even from 1993 till now, as big as he is, as famous as he is, he's never had any of those kind of problems because he came up in a different era. So that type of star, he's a mega star. But look at the time he came up in. So you can say star back then. Now is a different meaning. It's not about the music. Stevie Wonder, the first thing you think is music. You don't think drama.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
No scandals.
When you look at Herbie Hancock, you think music, and Herbie's a star. He's a jazz star, but he's also so versatile that he's gotten Grammys in different styles of music. Aretha Franklin, Grammys in different styles of music. Mm-hmm. They were famous for the music, different styles of music. That's why I love those type of artists, because I'm musically versatile from listening to those guys. They were stars, what a star was in their time. It's a different time now. You know, Rihanna is a star. You know, Chris Brown is a star. Okay. But what trails them now, because of social media and because of freedom of speech, what trails them is the drama. And that makes them more popular than their music.
К новым технологиям Фрэнк относится довольно скептически. Он не верит, что искусственный интеллект однажды сможет заменить полностью музыканта. Почему? Да, потому что человек всегда хочет быть богом, и никакой искусственный интеллект не остановит человека от его желания развиваться. Но вообще Фрэнк отмечает, что нейросети и искусственный интеллект могут быть полезными и могут делать кучу добра. Главное, по его словам, использовать их правильно и немного сдерживать развитие.
And what do you think about technologies, so like artificial intelligence? One day, would it be able to take the place of the musician?
I think that's really crazy because personally, I don't think they're going to get so far with AI.
Why? Because they do already a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. I still say they may accomplish a lot of things, but I don't think the whole concept of AI is going to conquer the world. I don't think so. Man has always wanted to be God. Just that simple. Man has always wanted to be God. Think about it. Man won't stop. Man won't stop until this world is destroyed.
And developing with himself. So you mean this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the creation for AI is to replace man. People won't have to pay people. Mm-hmm. I really think a lot of it's about money. If you have a machine doing the same job that a man can do, why not get the machine to do the job and save your money and keep from paying a man who needs to take care of his family? Mm-hmm. You know, that's really what I believe AI is about. You had Uber and Lyft replacing taxi drivers. They changed the whole system. Now we're getting cars that drive themselves and you're getting driverless cars. That's going to replace Uber and Lyft. So you're slowly but surely putting man out of work, slowly but surely putting man out of existence. And I just think that AI can work for a lot of great things for good purpose. But I think we're taking it too far for a car to drive itself. Mm-hmm. I don't want a robot delivering food to me. It's bad enough. It's hard for me to trust man bringing food to me. People are corrupt. You know, I'd rather go and pick my food up. I'm already taking a chance with somebody else cooking if I'm in a restaurant, you know. But I just think that the AI thing, you know, it's a great idea, but it just needs to be contained.
Уже почти в конце нашей беседы я решила задать Фрэнку такой философский вопрос. Я предложила ему гипотетическую сделку. Взял бы он $5 миллиардов, если бы при этом ему запретили заниматься музыкой. Вообще, совсем. Ну, прям навсегда. И кажется, что ответ человека, который до этого нам рассказывал, как он любит свою карьеру, как он ценит то, что он делает, достаточно очевиден. Ну, что он должен выбрать просто музыку, отказаться от денег и такой поступок совершить. Но Фрэнк оказался не так прост и обошел эту философскую дилемму, быстро с ней расправившись. Как он говорит, его жизнь научила читать между строк и вслушиваться внимательно в слова. Собственно, поэтому он нашел такое решение, где он остался с деньгами, с музыкой, да еще и молодым артистам помог развиваться.
I'd like to give you some hypothetical question. I know your answer, but still I want you to explain this answer. If you had a choice, for example, $5 billion, or you'll never be able to create your music again, will you take this opportunity to take all this money?
If I had a choice of $5 billion?
Yes, but
never make music again?
Yes.
That's a good question. You know why? I love what I do for a living. Absolutely love what I do for a living. But to take $5 billion and not do what I love to do for a living, Here's what I'll do. Because I'm a businessman, I like to think.
Uh-huh.
I would probably take that $5 billion.
But music, career.
No. It said I couldn't do what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I love to tour and play music for a living.
I see. So you will do it, but not for living.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I would take that money. I wouldn't have to do it for a living anymore.
Wow.
How about that? No. I'm a thinker.
It's a great
thinker.
choice.
Yeah. See, with me, one thing about me that I've learned from being with terrible managers, bad record labels, never having a booking agency. Now, I was signed to a booking agency, but they just had my name on the roster. They didn't book me. But I was signed to a booking agency, no booking agency, no record label. I have to read fine print. I have to think through, There's a difference in hearing and listening. I'm a detailed person. You said to me, $5 billion to not do what I love to do for a living. It becomes my hobby. I don't have to make money doing it. And I would take that money. The first thing I would do is pay my taxes. That's the first thing. Take care of your business, get out of debt completely. Because first thing they're going to do is take it anyway without you even offering it. They're going to take it. Do that first. And then I would invest in other young people who need help. So it's not going to take me away completely from what I love. I just can't do it for a living. Now, if I was told that I had to leave music altogether, that's how you'll get me. Now, if you say you can't do any type of music ever again, ever, or $5 billion, that's going to be a tough one because the first thing I'm going to think is, am I selling out for the money? Is there a guarantee that I will never have to worry about another bill another day in my life? If I had to do something else altogether, totally different, no music ever again, that's a tough one. And it would take me probably a couple of years to make that decision.
So, it will be a very long interview.
Yeah, right?
For 3 years.
That's one thing. And see, that's another thing. I'm not quick to just jump into anything. I made those mistakes. Take your time, and if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. If it's meant to happen. If it's not meant to happen, it won't happen. But don't rush.
Okay.
Don't rush into anything. So I would not rush into making that decision.
I see.
I would get all the music out of me that I could before. That crate I told you about with all the cassettes with the music, I would work real fast to get all of that released. Because at the end of the day, that's still my future. That's still my publishing, still my royalties. It'll just go to waste. But then I would have somebody else take it over and I would still do the business. I would think my way through it. They're closets now. I may not be able to touch it, but I can still get somebody else to do it and still get to publish it. Think your way through. Think your way through everything. Think your way through. Don't rush into the decision.
Ну и если вы слушаете это интервью и не понимаете вообще, боже мой, зачем слушать джаз? Я никогда не слушал джаз, я не буду слушать джаз. Фрэнк советует вам просто немножко расширить границы своего сознания. Все-таки джаз, особенно соул, это не тяжелый рок. Он не будет вам разрывать барабанные перепонки. Он звучит довольно приятно, спокойно. Так что вы можете просто попробовать, просто дать ему шанс. А там дальше уж как сложится.
There is a question for the people who doesn't listen to jazz at all. So, can you explain them? Why do they have to try it? At least try to listen to your music or someone else's music.
Open your mind. Don't be so narrow-minded. Open your mind. There was a time I wouldn't eat oysters. I just thought that they just looked so gross. And when I was younger, there were things that I wouldn't try. But I took a chance on some things and I fell in love with them. Now I love oysters. I do not see myself eating escargot. I can't do bugs. It's a limit, but at least I'm willing to open my mind to things. My suggestion is to just open your mind. Take the chance. Music is not going to hurt you. It's not hard rock. It's not going to be loud enough to blow your ears. It's pleasant. I would tell people, come out and let me feed your soul. Because it's soul music, literally soul music. The lyrics, though I'm in other countries, it seems that people can relate to lyrics even still. Even if they can't speak my language, for some reason, lyrics always cut through. And they're able to get it for whatever reason. I try to write songs that tell stories, songs that say something, And I learned that from growing up listening to Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin and Billy Preston, Ray Charles. These guys, music said something. So give it a chance. Something I might say in that song might help your situation at the moment. I've had so many people tell me, Frank, you should be here. You should be this famous and there. You should have all these Grammys and yada, yada, yada. Well, what's far more Now, if God blesses me with that, I'll take it. I'm grateful for it. If he doesn't, I'm grateful for it, because the greatest thing an artist could ever receive is the public that buys your music that you write, coming back to you saying, this song changed my life. You can break a Grammy, but you can't ever take that back, you know?
Ну и вообще Фрэнк говорит, что самое ценное в карьере музыканта — это тот момент, когда к тебе подходит твой слушатель и говорит: «Чувак, эта песня изменила мою жизнь». У самого Фрэнка тоже есть такой исполнитель. Это Стиви Вандер и его альбом «Key of Life». Он его слушал еще ребенком. Например, он вспоминает, как когда-то в детстве, когда его мама была беременна его сестрой и уже поехала на роды, он очень сильно переживал. С ним оставалась его тетя, и его мама сказала своей сестре: «Поставь ему этот альбом, он его успокаивает». И вот все время, пока мама Фрэнка была в больнице, он слушал этот альбом просто на репите. И поэтому у него сохранилось такое яркое воспоминание с этой музыкой, и для него этот сборник стал таким знаковым. Ну и потом уже во взрослом возрасте Фрэнк подружился со Стиви Вандером, и для него это вообще самый главный успех.
And what was the song for you that changed your life so much?
It was many songs, many situations.
Maybe the brightest one.
I would have to say the whole album, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. My mom was pregnant with my sister, and she knew that I loved Stevie Wonder. I was 5 years old, going on 6 when that album released. And she was going into the hospital to have my sister, and she knew that I was worried about her being my mom. So she had my aunt, which is her youngest sister, come over to watch me and my brother. She told my aunt, play this album for Frank. It helps him. And it was Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. But, you know, it's a double album. So it was the side that had the song As and Another Star. It was that, Summersoft. It was Summersoft. The side was Summersoft. Uh-huh. It played, back then we had the record player. Not a turntable, we called it a record player. And it would play, the needle would go up, come back, go back on the record. That was our loop. That's how we looped music back then, you know. And that record played and looped and looped and looped for the whole time she was in the hospital. It's a wonder that record still works. I have it at home now in LA. I took it with me. That album inspired me probably more than anything else I've ever listened to because of what I was going through as a child. So, and then to turn around and meet Stevie on my birthday and we become friends. What a plus. That is success to me.
Ну что ж, вот такое вот у нас получилось интервью. Надеемся, вам было интересно. Приятно было послушать голос Фрэнка, потому что, мне кажется, он невероятно харизматичный, и как он смеется, это вообще что-то. Собственно, именно поэтому мне не захотелось накладывать поверх перевод, потому что это бы все немного притупило и приглушило. И хотелось показать вам звучание человека. Надеюсь, вам это было несложно, вы не устали, вы просто получили какое-то удовольствие. Конечно, здесь могла бы быть интеграция какого-нибудь сервиса по изучению языков, но ее, к сожалению, как всегда, нет. Поэтому просто веселимся. Еще раз скажу, обязательно пишите нам свои комментарии на этот счет. Если вам понравилось, замечательно, расскажите нам об этом, пожалуйста. Если вам не понравилось и вообще вы выключили на второй минуте, когда началась английская речь, тоже напишите нам об этом. Нам это важно, потому что, чтобы мы знали, что можно дальше делать, что не делать. Не забывайте ставить оценки. Кстати, оценки тоже можно ставить любые, не обязательно ставить только 5 звездочек, например, на Apple подкастах. Нам очень важно получать обратную связь от вас. Нам очень приятно получать от вас сообщения, что вы нас слушаете, что мы вам помогаем справляться с какими-то непростыми ситуациями жизни. Это очень здорово. Спасибо вам огромное. Мы хотим быть лучшими для вас, поэтому, пожалуйста, не стесняйтесь, пишите нам. Вы можете написать нам всегда в Телеграме. Там мы все читаем, там мы все видим. И, наверное, это самый оптимальный способ связи в текущих условиях. Спасибо вам за прослушивание. Хорошо проведите ближайшее время. Майские праздники наступают. Кстати, чтобы не было сюрпризов, в майские праздники мы не выходим. По крайней мере, в первые, которые будут на следующей неделе. В общем, устройте себе небольшой релакс, отдохните и послушайте джаз. Чё вы уже, наконец, а? Всем покасики, лампасики.